What's up, family? It's your girl, Shamika Willis, also known as Lady Queen. And let me just tell my replayers, thank you so much for replaying this video. I do appreciate you. I hope something that's said today will definitely help change the way that you think for the better and will give you a different outlook on it. So what I need you to do is press the heart button, tap to clap. Begin to press that little heart and clap your little hands out, okay? Then go ahead and share to every group and page you're associated with, because we definitely want to get this message out. We definitely want to get this word out, and we don't want to keep it to ourselves. We can't be selfish, okay? So definitely send out the word to let them know that we're going. And you know what? As I give Facebook and YouTube to kind of give it a little minute to let people know that we're going live, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to share, and then I'm also going to welcome some of my live viewers that are on. I do appreciate you. Also, make sure if you get on here, you say what's up, because it's only polite. They teach us whenever we walk into a room, make sure that we say hello. So let me say hello to you. But as I said, I'm going to share to a couple of different places really quick, guys. Let me say hello. There we go. Just sharing to, okay, let's see. Just to make sure we get the message out that we've gone live, because we're going to talk about something. You know, if you are that type that has struggled with not letting go, struggle with letting go, or, wanting to pursue your dream, but it's just like you always fell off, or you're thinking about quitting because it's too hard. We're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to share it to a couple of places before we get started, just to make sure I share the love. And then you can help me do the same. Let's go. I guess I could type in the top the one I'm looking for, right? And it would show up a lot quicker. So I could talk to y'all a little bit. There we go. What's up, Tremina? That's my well sister right there. Let me see who this queen is. What's up, sis? Let's see. I don't Facebook user. I don't know who you are. You might be on one of my private pages, so forgive me, because I love to talk to you, but forgive me if I don't say your name, because look, y'all, when I tell you we're going to have a serious conversation today, when I was studying the word, I was reading Genesis chapter 32. And, most of us have heard the story about Jacob and Esau, right? Jacob kind of stole some things from Esau, his birthright. He kind of tricked him into some things, and everything was kind of coming back together. He had left the land, had been gone for a while, and he was afraid that because God had told him to go back, he was afraid that going back, that his brother would still be mad, because his brother was so mad he wanted to kill him, right? So he was afraid, going back, and people were telling him, listen, your brother Esau, we told him that you're coming. He's actually coming towards you with 400 men. And understand this was a journey, a day's journey. And so he's splitting up everybody, trying to figure out exactly what it is that he needs to do. And he goes to sleep. And this is the part that really stuck out to me. And I want you to hear this story. He goes to sleep, and he's fighting. It says, I believe it says, angel of the Lord. And so he's fighting, and he's wrestling. He's wrestling with this angel. And it says that, the angel said, let me go, because daybreak is coming. And he says, no, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And I need you to hear this story. I definitely try to tell it in a way that people can understand, that you can relate to, because I need you to hear this story. But he's saying, look, I won't let you go until you bless me, right? He said, I won't let you go. So because Jacob would not release, and Jacob would not let go, it says that Jacob's hip was touched, and it was put out of place. And then he releases. And so I believe God was really telling me something when I was reading this, because a lot of times we let go just because, I want you to think about daybreak and hear me out. The darkest point in our lives, or the darkest point in the day, is at midnight, right? The darkest point in the day is at midnight. But even at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's still really, really dark because understanding in the Hebrew time, it wasn't okay like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. But it's still really, really dark. And a lot of times we let go of things because of the fact is, we feel like we've been struggling with this thing. We've been toying with this thing. At least I tried. God gave you a gift and you're trying to work in your gift, right? But it's hard. It's hard when you don't get the support that you really believe that you thought you would get, or when the finances are not lining up, or when it's just not working out because things are not happening in the way that you thought. But what really blessed me is the fact that he did not let go until something was different, until there was a change, even and we understand when we say the word walk, because a lot of times we're working our gifts, we're working our passions and what God told us to do. And it begins to change the way that you think, right? It begins to change your mindset. It actually begins to change completely the way you saw things before when you really dive in deep, when you really dig in deep. And I thank God all the time because I'm telling God, you know what, God, I appreciate the fact, the way that you, even show me, the way that you show me, like, how even my mindset has completely changed, how my mindset is completely changed from the way that I used to think. Because let me tell you, before, getting on a live was completely out of the picture, y'all. Before getting on a live, it was scary to me because I'm like, okay, God, well, I'm putting myself out there already. We from Louisiana. When we get excited, we talk really fast. We get really excited, and or even like stuttering, can't find the words that I want to say. But just the fact that I realized that that's exactly what God wants to use, because it's in my weakness that he's strong, right? And then I realized that I could not do this by myself. I realized that I can't do it by myself and that I need the Father. Because understand, that's what it's about, God getting the glory, right? And if you have something that you already like, it's just kind of naturally already, strong in, you can feel like, oh, I can do this by myself. Oh, I can do this by myself. But see, even in the gift of speaking or the gift of exhortation, or even speaking to help motivate people, especially the kingdom of God, the enemy will try to play in your mind. Are you good enough? Can you do this? Even when you only have one person on the live, are you going to still talk? Even when there's 0 people on the live, somebody might watch the replay, right? But the enemy tries to play with your mind. And let me tell you, there was a point where I would take, those little, what do you call those little Post-its, right? I would take those little Post-its and I would take on and put it over the number. That way I couldn't see how many people were in the room. So I would go hard in the paint every single time, right? Because the thing is, I had to trick my own mind. You see, your mind will try to play tricks on you. You got to learn how to, until you have put it to where it's almost like a natural thing. It's in your subconscious because of what you've been pouring into your conscious the whole time. You got to figure out the tricks and everything. And that was one of the things that I used to do. That was one of the things I used to do. But I realized how much, even like Jacob, like Jacob, at the time that I need to be in that space, because the fact is, a lot of times we let go before our walk changes. We let go before our mindset changes. We let go before the difference happens, because we've been wrestling all night with this. And you're like, what? I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of wrestling with this. And God is like, look, just hold on a little while longer. So even though you feel like, I don't have what it takes, or even though you feel like, it's not working out, I don't have the support, I don't have the finances. I even thought I'd be alone emotionally, mentally, but it's not happening the way that you thought it would. Hold on a little while longer. Especially because of the pandemic, everything that was going on, the suicide rate was up, because let me tell you, there's nothing like sitting in a place by yourself. Like you can't get the busy work, right? A lot of us, we go places, we do things because we try to keep our mind occupied, because it's really loud when we're by ourselves, right? It's really loud when we're by ourselves. But when I tell you, that's actually when I begin to actually find out who I was. Not because of the fact, I had to spend time with myself. But the fact is, that's the more actually I spent time with God. And the more I spent time with God, the more he revealed to me who I was, who I truly was, what was inside of me. Because I tell you before I say it really quick, I'm a very shy person. I don't mind staying in the back. Now, still, I don't mind staying in the back sometimes, y'all. But the thing is, God really showed me how much there is a boldness inside of me. And that, the kingdom of God, especially when we begin to speak it, the kingdom of God is not necessarily of words, but it's a power. When God begins to ignite something inside of you, it's because, listen, he needs you to do something. And guess what? You are meant to reach a certain people that I can't even reach, But you are meant to reach a certain type of people that even Shermina can't reach, or even Facebook user, who you might be, whoever you might be, or even Miss Jenita. What's up, Miss Jenita? You're meant to reach a certain type of people. And then the thing is, you can't even be mad if you're not meant to reach that person. Like I learned, because before I was like, man, I was telling you the same thing. You remember our parents used to tell us that? Like, I told you that, and you didn't believe me. But then, somebody comes by and tells you the same exact thing. And then you're like, oh, okay, and now you believe it. Like, not even being offended and learning that, what, God, whoever you have sent to hear what it is that I have to say, you know what? There's really nothing wrong that I can say, especially if I keep you in the forefront. Even if I have to stutter through the whole thing, they be sitting there like, sis, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for what you're trying to say, sis. I'm waiting. Because the thing is, they're meant to hear what God has to say through me. And so you can no longer be afraid. You have to be that person that says, you know what? I'm no longer going to throw in the towel just because it gets hard. I'm no longer going to throw in the towel because, I've been doing it for a long time. I tried it. It just don't work. Maybe you gave up right before the break of day. Maybe you gave up right before something changed, something shifted. Maybe you gave up right before that time. And now God is like, listen, this right here, what he has you doing, don't let go. I tell people all the time, listen, we have to learn how to learn from our mistakes. We have to learn how to learn from others' mistakes. We have to learn how to learn from, even when, things are spoken in the Bible. Listen, when I tell you, I truly believe this, that God gives a different revelation. Well, I say a different revelation, but he gives an additional revelation. Whenever I first began to read the Bible, it was just like, okay, he was wrestling, because he wanted to be blessed. But the thing is, like, I really see now that the fact that, a lot of times I've done that, where I've let go too early. I've let go of something. God is even having me even in, because some of my well sisters are on here. So we're going to go there. We're going to go there with it. What's up, Tiffany? What's up, honey? But some of my wealth sisters on here, even my sister Queen on YouTube, I appreciate you, honey. But even realizing that a lot of times I let go before the change happened. And so I thank God that I'm even in the community that I'm in with my wealth sisters and brothers, because like they have taught me so much more. Like, faith is on another level. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all can, I need the 2 or 3 witnesses. Tell them, sis, faith is completely different. And it's not that I didn't know faith, because look, I grew up in church, y'all. I grew up in church, right? It's not that I didn't know faith, but just faith is a lot different now. Because I'm like, God, no matter what, faith is the substance of things hoped for. So things that I even see from my life, that God is going to get the glory out, and that I am worthy of, because a lot of times we have to even shift our mindset of realizing you are worthy of greatness. You are worthy to have an abundance. You are worthy to be great. So a lot of time we even have to shift our mindset for that. But just realizing that faith is a substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. So which means that I'm believing for something that I do not see. But see, I see the evidence of it. God is even doing some things, because I even see even the way the talk has changed, even with talking to people, and what God is has me doing right now, how it's even changed. Just I see the little bits and pieces of evidence that are happening, and I see it transpiring in my life before it happens. It's just like that Chinese bamboo tree. And look, I've been telling a few people, I said, listen, y'all, listen, I'm like this Chinese bamboo tree, right? I'm like, you know what? Chinese bamboo trees, when the planter plants them, They water it and they nurture it day in and day out for like 5 years, right? Nothing sprouts above the ground. Nothing. And on the fifth year, it grows 80 feet tall. Now, some people say, well, did it grow 80 feet tall on the fifth year? Or was it doing some stuff under the ground, the 4.5, 5 years? Regardless, the thing is, it was growing. It was doing its thing. It was doing actually what it was meant to do. And see, the great thing about me and you, we're meant, God, look, we're actually God's highest, creation. We're meant to have dominion. So regardless if you take off with a jog, regardless if you take off with a crawl, regardless if you take off scooting, sis, you're meant to be great. But the thing is, you have to grab a hold and you cannot let go. And you say, listen, I'm not letting go of what God told me to do until I see the blessing. Until I see the blessing and until something changes. Now, I want you to think about that because I always wonder, okay, well, what was the blessing when he did that? But when he goes to meet his brother who back in the day wanted to kill him, right? Said he was going to straight up kill him. He actually ran to him, hugged him, around his neck and actually gave into his bosom, if I could put it that way. And God wants to give you some things, wants to allow some things to transpire. But the thing is, you have to be diligent enough to be dedicated to the process, to be dedicated to what he's doing in you, because there is a process. And guess what? No one's better than the process. Believe me, I tried to beat it. You can't do it. You try to beat the process, but you can't do it. Everyone has to go through the process. I tell my friends, and we're gonna talk about a little bit in the chat because I definitely want to interact with you guys. But I was telling one of my friends, I said, a lot of times, especially when we have younger millennials, because I'm still that millennial, but when we have younger millennials or even people that are younger than us, and we kind of look at them and say, why are you doing that? Like that's like you seriously putting yourself in stuff, and we kind of think like that. But the thing is, though, what I realize is everyone has a process. And guess what? Mine's not like yours. Yours is not like mine. But guess what? Regardless, I am where I am today because God held my hand through the process. And he knows what it's going to take. Like he knows what it's going to take to get you to where he needs to get you. So like, even when I went through all the, the turmoil, and I tell you, like, when I've told my story before, I told you it was like waking up. And I say that waking up. And I even said this opening up my eyes one day when I was in that situation. I'm still in this hellhole. And that's how I felt. That's how I felt because I was struggling mentally. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like, like, what am I here for? Like, I felt like, just I can't even describe even the pain that I felt then because I had been, mentally, emotionally abused. And it was just a dark place, right? Like I was in a dark, dark place. But I loved God, but I was in a dark place. And I want you to think about that. I grew up in church, right? So I'm like, God, I see everyone around me. They're doing well. God, like I try to do what's right. I read my Bible, I pray. And do you see this troubled water around me? Like, do you see this? Like, do you see what's going on right here? And you said, and believe me, I would have these conversations to God just like that. Like, God, do you not see what's going on? Like, God, like, seriously help me because I was struggling. I'm like, God, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get the lights on. God, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to feed my kids or even get the lights on before my kids come back home. I've been in that place. I've been there. But then it also gave me a compassion for those type of people. That even, because believe me, I could have listened to my parents. I could have been a lot further along than I was when I was back there. But the thing is, God's grace and mercy, like he allowed me to even go through the process because guess what? He was like, you know what? On June 9th at 10:42 p.m., I'm going to need you to talk on a live, but it's going to be somebody that's going through the trenches. And I mean, that's going through the trenches because let me tell you, there's nothing like a mother that wants to do, well, that even has in her mind, you know what, I'm not going to do the wrong things, and I want to do what's right, working her tail off, or even trying to get to, trying to even better herself in school, and still trying to also work, but yet struggling to put a meal on the table. Let me tell you, it was so bad at one point, like I'd feed my kids breakfast, and then my mindset was, okay, how I'm gonna get lunch. Like, that's real talk. That's real. That's like, listen, that's some serious stuff. And that's some real stuff. But guess what? It was a part of the process. It was a part of the process. And not saying I didn't cry sometimes, not saying there were nights where I would go to sleep crying, fall asleep crying, and then wake up, and before I could open my eyes, I had started crying again. That's how bad it was. But you know what? I thank God for my trials and my tribulations that I went through. I thank God for it, because you know why? I am who I am today because of the things that I faced, and that I know God brought me through. I know He helped me through. I know He's the one who did it. And that's what it's about. Like giving. Thank you, sis. Thank you. And that's what I want to help people understand. Listen, whatever your process is, even if it's ugly, even if you're embarrassed, because there were a lot of times where I was embarrassed of what I was going through, and didn't want to tell anybody because I was so embarrassed. And I've been there before. And so that's when I seriously take it to heart, and I make sure that I love on those queens that talk about things, say, look, I don't know why I'm telling you this, because this is so embarrassing, but this is what I'm struggling with. Because we've all been there. We've all been there in some form or fashion. Your story might not be like mine, but guess what? You didn't have a storm. Maybe trees flew around in my storm, but but maybe only leaves flew around in your storm, but we still both had a storm, you know. And that's what I try to remind people. Listen, we all go through storms. We all go through storms. But what do you do in a storm? What do you do in a storm? And that's a subject, as a matter of fact, for another day. What do you do in a storm? I'm reading a little something on that right now. But listen, when I want to tell you, and whoever definitely that whoever it might be, I want you to understand. Exactly. A lot of us have been there. You see some of my sister queens, even in the chat, they have said it too. Like, everybody has been there before. So don't feel alone. And I know sometimes we get on the lives, and you're like, I just want to listen. I don't want to say anything. So I'm talking to you. Listen to me. It's going to all work out in your favor. It will. Just don't give up too early. Just don't give up before the change comes. Not even for the fact that, you know what, well, I held on until daybreak. I thought daybreak, I'd have some change, but don't let go until the change happens. Don't let go. Stick with it until the change happens. And listen, I'm even ministering to myself, because so things are going through my mind even as I'm saying that. Because a lot of times, we feel like, you know what, I fought a good fight, Jesus. I did. And you did, babe. You still fighting a good fight. Just continue to hold on. Hold on, because it'll all work out. Remember, as I say at the end of every session, change your mind so you can change your life. So if you change the way that you think, your life will forever change. But guess what? You are the only limitation. Take the limits off of you. Take the limits off of what God can do in your life, because He's not a rapist. If you allow Him to do some unlimited type thing, believe me, He will take full advantage of it. You just got to be willing to go through the process. I love you guys, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye.